Okay, this is going to be a quick look at one of the key elements of the Ravens' offensive game, if you ask me. It's one of the things they're receiving notoriety for and in some circles criticism for, which is using 22 personnel. And when we all think of 22 personnel, two running backs and two tight ends, we think of formations like the one that I'm going to show you here for a moment, then I'll switch back to the screen. So we all think of formations like this, right? Where you have two running backs in the backfield, one tight end, another one in the slot. I just this morning I released a video talking about slot I, which is what this formation is, and it's 8 plays overall, and the breakdown is 7 runs and 1 pass. Okay, and that pass was in a short yardage situation down by the goal line, so it still kind of fits with the personality of that formation. So 22 personnel, that's generally what you think of. I'm going to show you about 6 plays here. I think, the front picture or thumbnail for this, that is also 22 personnel right there. So you have a tight end and Ricard up at the top of the screen. A second tight end likely is in the slot, or the number 2 receiver down to the bottom. And then you have the running back and Lamar in the backfield with the 1 receiver down at the bottom side of the screen. I think it's Bateman. So what the Ravens are doing out of 22 personnel, I think, is running certain run-centered or run-focused formations, and then some more balanced formations, and then also on the other end of the spectrum, some pass-focused or pass-tendency-based formations to force the defense to kind of keep their base personnel on the field. I think 22 personnel is going to be interesting. I do not think the Ravens are capable at this point of lining up in 22 personnel, like in this formation here, and just running the ball down a good defense's throat. I just don't think that's what we have. I think it's kind of even a little more difficult to do that in 2022 anyway, to be honest with you. So I'm just showing you these plays because, again, I previewed the slot I formation. I wanted to do a personnel video as well. The broadcast TV and NFL partners, they don't show us personnel. They don't tell us. So you've kind of got to really look at it pre-snap. And half the time, they're just giving you a zoomed-in view of the quarterback anyway, which is kind of disappointing if you ask me. I don't think it promotes knowledge and understanding. I don't think it promotes, awareness. I'm going to let these plays run so that you get a sense of the type of plays I'm talking about. Again, only really going to show you like 6 plays, all 22 personnel. So what that means is the Ravens have either gone in the huddle or we're going no huddle, and we've got 2 running backs and 2 tight ends. I'm generally talking about Andrews and Oliver being on the field here and not Andrews and Likely. All right, so as we go through this real quick, I'm going to switch over and show you some data. So this is what the data looks like that I've compiled. So you see the drive number. So it's from many different games. I probably need to eliminate that column. Down, distance, personnel is all 22. 22 jumbo is 2 running backs, 2 tight ends, but one of those tight ends is an eligible 6th tackle. So there's 5 instances of that, and surprise, surprise, they're all run. So right now these are sorted by run, pass. So 22 personnel is generally all run. Out of specific certain formations. So as I scroll down here, this is a video now, so I'm not able to control the scroll, so I may need to back up a little bit. But you can see all the pass plays at the bottom. What you don't see a ton of is these formations. That column right there, column G, is the formation column. You don't see some of these formations showing up top in the run column. A couple of them you do. Like, for example, you see twin wing here is a pass play. Twin wing there is a run play. So there is some crossover, but we're generally, there's a third one down at the bottom. I don't have them sorted by formation. I have them sorted by run pass. We're generally talking about 22 personnel as something where the defense has to identify the formation and then kind of think about what the tendency is. Hopefully that makes sense. So it's not like 22 personnel is all run, even though in this first set of plays that I've got here in terms of the data, you can see there's a whole bunch of run plays. That's just because of the way that I have it sorted, okay? And again, the one formation that I showed this morning in a video, slot I, you can see all iterations of slot I, even slot Ram, I'm just drawing a line over to them, are all run plays, right? Slot Lion, run. Slot I is the pass scramble, the cheat play that I talked about this morning in another video if you watched it. So the Ravens are using 22 personnel. Some people would say, oh, They're zigging when the rest of the NFL is zagging, or zagging when the rest of the NFL is zigging, because so many people are running 11 personnel. But my impression is that some of this predictability might be by design. Okay, I'm gonna switch back to the video here of the plays. So my impression is that some of this might be by design. So what they might be trying to do is get the other team's base defense on the field and then be able to run some spread, quote, formations to try to spread out your base defense. Now, it doesn't work out that way on this particular play because this is a 2nd and 7 against Miami. But if you ask me, Miami's got their base outside linebackers on the field, 3 interior D linemen, 2 linebackers. They've rolled up a strong safety into the box, and they're doing what I think a lot of teams are doing to Ricard when we put him in as a slot tight end. They're just putting a linebacker, oftentimes to the boundary, on him and man because they think, hey, we don't think he can beat us. We don't think there's anything he can do to prevent us from playing him with an inside linebacker. And I generally would probably agree with that assessment by those teams. I'm sure you probably would too, but if not, let me know. So what I mean is this inside backer is playing man on Ricard, and then this safety 29 is playing man on Andrews. So even though we think we're using 22 personnel to keep base defensive personnel on the field and then try to exploit it with matchups, I think teams are trying to figure out ways to augment that or at least minimize the damage. All right, another iteration of 22 personnel. This time you have Likely on the field and you have Andrews down here or up at the top side. Again, Ricard is the slot tight end to the right-hand side. We're in pistol. Formation that I would call twin slot. Then we move to B. I do like the play action stuff that we do out of this. This ends up being incomplete to Likely. Point being, the Ravens are going 22 personnel. I think they're doing that to try to keep the other team's base defense on the field and then sometimes spread you out in terms of using a spread formation to get favorable matchups. Now, I offer to you that the only problem, maybe it's possible the only problem when you do that is if we give you one receiver, let's say in this case Bateman, you're certainly going to get the other team's best corner on him if they're playing man-to-man, which it looks like they are here. Hopefully that makes sense. So we're not necessarily getting a favorable matchup for our receivers when we're going 22 personnel and then a spread formation, but we're getting a favorable matchup possibly for our tight ends. And that might be one of the explanations for why Greg Roman has the reputation of, oh, he can scheme things for his tight ends, but not for his receivers. Some of that could be the personnel that we are using. All right, so a different formation, this one and maybe one more that I'm going to show you out of 22 personnel. Twin wing, so we've got the 2 tight ends here. The fullback, Ricard, lined up in the slot. We all know when he lines up there, he's not really lining up there. He's gonna motion across, and it's either going to be a run play or a play action pass. This is that counter wind back, that huge run by Justice Hill. I'm not sure that we can line up and do these things against the Bills consistently. You know, can we bust some big runs, make some big plays? I think it's entirely possible. I think their front 4 and their inside linebackers are incredibly good and very athletic. I think they're more athletic than the front guys here that the Patriots have. You guys can let me know what you think of that comparison in the comment section. I'm not saying 22 personnel won't be effective. I would be very interested in our yards per play out of each personnel grouping. I haven't had the time to try to do that yet. And I think yards per play is somewhat of a skewed data point because sometimes it's 3rd and 2 and you only need 2 yards. So you're fine if it's a 2-yard gain. But 22 personnel is the point of this video, trying to show you guys that why the Ravens are doing what they're doing. Whether we think it's successful or not, that's a different story. Same formation, the 2 tight ends is to the top side. Ricard is down here to the bottom side. This is twin wing. Normally when we do twin wing, you're not going to get Isaiah Likely being one of those 2 tight ends. Normally when you get twin wing, Isaiah Likely is not going to be on the field. So what I mean by that is if it was 22 personnel and we wanted to line up in this formation, I think Isaiah Likely would be down here where Ricard was, and then I think Ricard would be up here. I just believe that the Ravens offensive staff doesn't think Likely presents much of a threat as an inline tight end or a wing tight end. Hopefully that makes sense. Great throw by Lamar, great route. Really cool job, if you ask me, of manipulating the coverage. Again, You got base defensive personnel on the field. Outside linebacker, outside linebacker. So we're using these two guys to get a favorable matchup for the tight end. I wish that we could do some of those same things to get favorable matchups for the receivers. It seems like that's the thing that we don't do by default. All right. One more formation here, and then we'll be done with 22 personnel. What do you think of this? I mean, we're under center. We've got two tight ends. We've got two running backs. Pretty heavy run formation. This is called wing eye. Not saying that we can't be successful with some of these things, but when we're in 22 personnel, I think the defense has to identify the formation in terms of recognizing whether it's more heavily skewed or weighted towards run or towards pass. The reason for me giving you this information or trying to give you this data, make it available to you, is so that when you see these formations before the snap, you yourself can recognize, oh, this is generally a run formation, or at least coach told me it was. Certainly under some of these formations, we need to run more play action passes to loosen the defense up and kind of go away from some of those tendencies. But I admit, as I did in a previous video, that we're talking about 3 games worth of data. So me saying this is a run formation is a little bit premature, even though 7 out of 8 plays being runs is pretty heavily weighted, 87-88%, if you ask me. So, little look at 22 personnel and some of the things that we try to do out of it. The reasons why I think the Ravens are doing it. I'll give you one more look at the data. Reasons why I think the Ravens are doing it. What they think they're accomplishing from it. You know, you're welcome to in the comments section ask me to post up a shared document that you can look at but not edit. You know, whether we're getting what we want out of these things here, these run plays. You know, it certainly doesn't look like a consistent gain to me. There's a lot of zeros in there. There's a couple of ones, some negative ones, negative twos. You know, the bigger ones was against the Patriots, the 34-yard run by Hill and the 11-yard run by Hill. You know, do you think we're getting as much out of 22 personnel under center heavy run formations? I don't think we are. I offer to you it's also possible that is by design. It's not by design for us to not succeed. I think it might be by design for us to be run-oriented, run-focused in certain 22 personnel formations so as to keep the base personnel on the field for the defense, and then we can manipulate them when we go to these more pass-oriented or pass-focused formations that you see down here at the bottom. I'm not sure if I explained that really well. Let me know in the comment section if you think I explained it. Just a real quick 22 personnel data video. I would like to do something a little more in-depth next week because we'll have 4 games worth of data. And I believe that about week 5 or 6 last year is when the Ravens really kind of became predictable in terms of giving away our intentions pre-snap based upon the personnel and the formation that we lined up in. I suspect and I think I see some markers that we're going to try to avoid that this year. Let me know what you think of my breakdown of this. I know it's a different type of video, a little bit outside of my comfort zone, but I'm trying to give you guys some data to improve or help encourage you to see things before the snap and be able to anticipate, oh, this is a run formation. Oh, this is a pass formation. And why are we doing this? We're doing this to try to create favorable matchups for the tight ends. The problem, if you ask me, is I haven't seen evidence that we're creating favorable matchups for the receivers yet, particularly a guy like Rashad Bateman. We're almost always lining him up to the outside, and the defense knows where he is. I'd like to see Bateman in motion a little more. I'd like to see him in the slot sometimes, motioning from the slot on the right to being the outside receiver on the left, really forcing the defense to declare their coverage, because I think we've got a truly underutilized weapon in Rashad Bateman, and I don't care who we're going up against. I mean, we might be going up against Jalen Ramsey, Xavier Howard, whoever we're going up against. I believe Rashad Bateman is a real problem and a weapon the Ravens have to figure out a way to utilize the same way that these formations I've shown you today, I believe, are designed to help create favorable matchups for Isaiah Likely, Mark Andrews, and even to a lesser extent, Josh Oliver. Appreciate you guys' time. Let me know what you think of the video. Have fun. Enjoy watching the game today.